Good afternoon, buonasera. I am here today to celebrate the first anniversary of Operation IRINI and to give credit to the people who has been working on it, to the people who has been behind it, to the people who have made it possible. This visit comes at a time when we see positive developments in Libya. That's really a good news. With the inauguration on Monday of the new Libyan government of national unity, led by the new Prime Minister Daiba, we are all witnessing an important moment for Libyans. The new government has confirmed by a broad majority of the House of Representatives, and the new presidency, led by the President al-Manfi, has been taking their constitutional oath the same day. So peace and stability in Libya looks like being within our hand's reach. It's now for the new leadership to reunify institutions and to lead the country towards election on the 24th of December. All these developments were made possible by the Libyans themselves, and they deserve credit for it. Many are providing support, above all United Nations, but also the European Union. And on the European Union side, we have been actively engaged through diplomatic action on the political process. We have provided substantial support on the economic front. I can say that more than 700 million euros over the past years. And then came Operation IRINI 1 year ago. And through Operation IRINI, we have been contributing substantially to create a stable environment that will allow for reconciliation and to go forward. As I said, we are celebrating today 1 year since we launched this operation. And believe me, it was, and it is, a difficult one. And today, I am proud to say that Operation IRINI has achieved concrete results despite the difficulties linked to the pandemic. I am very honored to have the possibility today here at the headquarters of Operation IRINI to thank Italy for the important role that has played in setting the operation and for hosting this headquarters. IRINI has conducted more than 2,300 hailings, has close to 100 friendly approaches and 8 inspections. This includes also the seizure of illegal cargoes and prevented an illegal export of fuel. IRINI is not only a Navy operation. Its assets are ships, but it also has eyes to look at what's happening in the sky and from the space to monitor violations occurring on land and by air. On doing so, it has monitored 16 Libyan ports and oil facilities, has also monitored 25 airports and landing strips, as well as almost 200 flights that possibly were carrying military-related cargoes back and forth to Libya. All this work, all this information has been reported to the United Nations panel of experts in more than 20 confidential special reports, highlighting the violations of the arms embargo on both sides of the conflict of Libya. And just 2 days ago, the panel issued the latest comprehensive report acknowledging the good operation of Operation IRINI and the support that this operation has been providing to the panel's investigations into non-compliance. And when we say violations, I mean violations by all sides, because they are violations from all sides. The operation carries out its mandate in full impartiality in accordance with United Nations Security Council resolutions. Nothing more, nothing less. And today, more than ever, it is crucial that everyone respects the mandate which has been granted by the United Nations. It's not the European Union who gave the mandate to IRINI operation. It's a United Nations mandate. We are just implementing it with the approval of all its member states. I want to welcome the fact that Libyans embark on the road to peace. We have a responsibility to ensure that Libyans have full control of their future and can finally live in peace and stability, because their peace will contribute to our peace and their security will be part of our security. So we are not working only for the Libyan future, we are working for the European future. And we will continue doing so. Thank you, Admiral. Thank you, General. Thank you to all men and women who have been working and making this mission possible.
Thank you very much, High Representative. We will take some questions now. In the back.
Good evening. I am Francesco Russo from the news agency AGI. I have a question about the Libyan peace process. As there are still...
Speak louder, because with the mask it's difficult to understand.
Thank you. I have a question about the Libyan peace process. Of course, the new government is welcome news that last summer would have been unthinkable, but there are still repeated violations of the embargo, and most of all, there is a problem of the presence of foreign fighters. How can be successfully enforced the peace process by the international community? Because those foreign fighters are supported by nations, most of all Turkey and Russia, that have an interest to keep an influence in Libya. How could be possible to successfully remove this influence?
The foreign policy in Libya is nothing new. You know? When I came to my job 1 year ago, they already were there. And during the last year, the military presence of mainly Turkey and Russia has been increasing, and we are not unaware of what's happening there and the important role that Turkey has been doing on the development of the military actions during the last year. For sure, without Turkey involvement in the war, the situation would be completely different. But we are where we are. There are foreign troops in Libya. Part of the solution for the Libya political process has to be the withdrawal of the foreign fighters. It's not going to happen tomorrow. We have to go step by step. We have first to ensure the ceasefire. We have to look for a monitoring of this ceasefire in order to ensure that they will last, in order to give time to the newly politically appointed authorities to do their job. But at the end of the process, the foreign fighters, be it mercenaries, be whatever you want to call them, have to leave. And I understand that this is not going to happen tomorrow, as I said, but it's part of the deal. In the meantime, we have to support the political process. We have to make the elections scheduled by the end of the year possible. And we have to continue engaging in all fronts. We have to support, for example, the Libyan Coast Guard. We cannot let the Libyan Coast Guard be on the hands of one of the foreign agents. And we have to be ready to continue supporting financially the development of the negotiations under the United Nations auspices. This is the way it is. I don't have a magic wand in order to make the foreign fighters to leave, but leaving Libya is part of the solution for Libya. And I am very much hopeful that this will happen.
Good evening. Luca Gambardella, Il Foglio, Italian newspaper. I have a question about the EU. Can you hear me?
If you talk with the mask, it's impossible to understand you.
I have a question about the EU-Turkish deal about immigration. You recently speak about the need to renew this deal, and you say that it's, according to you, is still a valid deal. And I would like to know what are concretely the perspective to renew this deal, because as you know, in Brussels there are different views on this, because some diplomats say that Turkey is playing the card of immigration with you, maybe to obtain some kind of advantages in other scenarios like Syria or Libya. So I would like to know if you have some more info about renegotiation of this deal. Thank you.
When you refer to deal, you mean the statement of 2016. I prefer to call it a statement because it was not a deal. No? It's a way of facing a difficult situation, and in order to save lives. Because thanks to this deal, as you said, or thanks to this agreement between European Union and Turkey, the flow of illegal migration stopped, and thanks to that, a lot of lives has been saved. This statement remains valid and should continue to be implemented. And for this year, 2021, the statement continues working, and we are continue providing funding according with this so-called deal. Now the question is, will this statement be part of the next European Union Council that will discuss about the relationship with Turkey? Puts that on a practical term. Well, Turkey is in the agenda. We are going to discuss about all issues related with the relationship between Turkey and the European Union. I have been preparing together with the Commission a report that will be presented to the Council with all bilateral developments, including on migration, but the Council will not close the process. The Council will give guidelines in order to continue the negotiations with Turkey. But I am sure that at the end, any agreement will have to consider continuing support to the migrants, exiled people that Turkey is hosting on its territory. I cannot imagine that the European Union stops supporting these efforts, because Turkey, you can think of whatever you want about other issues, but Turkey is hosting 4 million or more than 4 million people, and the European Union has to support, has to help Turkey to support the burden that these people represent. But I want to stress that most of this support goes directly to the people, to the exile and refugees which are in Turkey territory. It's not money for the Turkish government, it's money for the people that are being hosted in Turkey.
Good evening, I'm Salvatore Lusu from ANSA Newswire. My question is about Russia. Are you worried by the new tensions between the USA and Russia, and in particular, what is your reaction to US President Joe Biden calling Vladimir Putin a killer? Do you agree on this term? Thank
I am used to the tensions with Russia, as you know, so nothing surprised me. But if the question, the precise question is about the use of a word by President Biden, I'm not going to answer the question by a yes or not. It's too complex to use a single word. I will try to give an explanation and then you take your conclusions. There is sadly a long list of failed, in some cases, and successful, in other cases, assassinations carried out against critical, independent figures in Russia, including politicians and journalists. It's not something that happened just yesterday. When I was President of the European Parliament in 2005, I remember the assassination of the journalist Anna Politkovskaya, and I had to talk with President Putin about it. So sadly, it's a fact of life that there is a long list of failed or successful assassination attempts against independent figures in Russia. On the cases of Mr. Navalny and Sergei and Julia Skripal, the European Union imposed sanctions on those involved, coming from Russia, military intelligence, and the specific Russian Chemical Research Agency. We have been punishing people coming from the military intelligence and the specific Russian Chemical Research Agency. The Russian authorities also have been carrying out illegal actions in Ukraine and have clear roles in conflicts in our neighborhood. And the President of the Russian Federation ultimately holds the responsibility for these Russian specific actions made by Russian authorities, Russian policies, and Russian actions.
Hola, Álvaro Padilla para la agencia EFE. Italia lleva desde hace tiempo pidiendo una gestión conjunta con la Unión Europea de la inmigración. También Draghi ha pedido que la Unión Europea asuma su responsabilidad. ¿Qué puede hacer la Unión Europea en ese sentido? Gracias.
Esta es una pregunta telúrica, ¿verdad? Cósmica, diría yo. Do you answer in Spanish or? But if I answer in Spanish, the other will not understand. If I answer in English, it's not good for you, no? Well, I'm going to try to speak, to answer in English, and then I will answer in Spanish in order for you to record in my language. Well, look, I don't know to which sentence of the President of the Council of Ministers, Mr. Draghi, are you referring when you say that Mr. Draghi has asked the European Union to take their responsibilities, because the European Union has been taking their responsibilities all the time and will continue being so. For sure, migration is a problem in the Mediterranean, not only for Italy. The closer you are to the problem, the bigger is the effect that it has on you. The migration on the Mediterranean has bigger effects for Italy, Malta, or France or Spain than for Lithuania or Lithuania. That's evident. And that's why the European Union is trying to develop policies that shares the burden of the migration, in order that not only the countries on the front line of the migration have to support the consequences of a phenomena that affects the whole European Union member states, that is not going to finish tomorrow, because it's the answer to the imbalances, demographic and economic imbalances between Europe and Africa and the Middle East and others. So, yes, the European Union has presented, the Commission has presented a new pact for migration, which is being discussed by the member states, and if agreed, it will be implemented. But now the ball is in the hands of the member states, who has to decide if they approve this plan or they prefer another one. In the meantime, the Commission, which I am Vice President, will continue developing all efforts in order to coordinate the actions of the member states to face illegal migration and to make migration a regular process. Because migration is there to last. It's not going to disappear. And we have to convert migration on a process which is regular in order to avoid that people lose their lives trying to follow illegal ways of reaching Europe. Y si quiere le puedo resumir. Sí, se lo voy a resumir. Mire, la Unión Europea, las instituciones de la Unión Europea.
Good evening, Alessandro Scipione from Nova News Agency.
From Nova?
Nova News Agency. I have a question again on Libya. Are there any news on the proposal to have a European Union envoy in Libya? And another question, please. You talk about monitoring what's happening in Libya, especially on the field of mercenaries. The United Nations just sent an advanced monitoring mission in Sirte. Do you think that Operation IRINI can perhaps cooperate with the UN in this regard? Thanks.
The role of Operation IRINI is not to monitor the ceasefire. It has a role of controlling the arms embargo. Don't mix different issues. No? Operation IRINI was launched before the ceasefire and has nothing to do with monitoring the ceasefire. It doesn't mean that the European Union is not ready to participate and to cooperate on the monitoring of monitoring of the ceasefire, but it's on the hands of the United Nations. If the United Nations request the European Union support, I am sure the European Union and its member states will be ready to consider this request. But it has to come from the European Union cannot decide, oh, I'm going to monitor the ceasefire. No, it has to be the United Nations who request our support, and if this is the case, for sure, we will be ready to consider it. And about the special envoy of the European Union for Libya, yes, on the coming days I will have to present a proposal to the Foreign Affairs Ministers. The problem is that I have several good candidates and I have to choose one. But it will happen soon. That's all? Yes. Well, thank you very much.